Hi, and welcome to the Josilyn Drake Show. I am your host, Josilyn Drake. We have a very informative show for you today. Coping with the stress of the holiday season is upon us. Navigating through this time is hard, especially if you have a substance abuse problem. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the abuse of tobacco, alcohol, and illicit drugs is costly to our nation, exacting more than $740 billion annually in costs related to crime, lost work productivity, and health care. Many people are wanting to get free of these addictions, but don't think that they can. Today's guests from Sober Kulture, Ms. Christine Lee and Ms. Natalian Johnson, are here to talk about the journey of sobriety. Help me welcome to the Josilyn Drake Show, Christine Lee and Natalian Johnson.
Thank you so much, Christine and Natalian, for joining me on the Josilyn Drake Show.
Thank you for having us.
And love you having you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Natalian. I'm 30 years old. I grew up in Clear, Alabama, and I currently work at Children's Hospital. And the thing we're here to talk about today is Sober Culture, which is our nonprofit that we founded last year. And so we're just super excited to talk about it and tell you all what all we have going on for the community.
Yes, and I'm Christine Lee, and I'm 21.
Love it.
Keeping that age out there. No, but seriously, we're the co-founders of Sober Culture, and it's something very near and dear to our heart because we both had experience with alcohol abuse, and so that's why we launched Sober Culture, and just being able to get back to our youth so they can be on the track that where we felt sure that.
Awesome. So tell us about Sober Culture and what inspired you to start the organization.
Sober Culture is a nonprofit that raises awareness for alcohol abuse within the community. We founded Sober Culture last year because I reached out to Christine. I saw her story on Facebook, which I'll let her tell that. And so we kind of came together and had all these ideas, and that's kind of how Sober Culture came about. And we cater to ages 6th grade through college, but we don't stop there because we realize that alcoholism, it does not have an age limit. You can be 40 or 50 years old and still deal with substance abuse.
Absolutely. Like Natalian said, it was a period where I just felt I had to be transparent, and I knew God was bringing me to a place where you couldn't keep your story to yourself because I knew others couldn't relate. So I started to post different things like on social media as well as publishing my book, 10 Years in a Bottle, and just putting it out there as far as, this is real, and a lot of people can relate. So I put it out, and Natalian reached out to me like, hey, if there's anything I can do, I'm here. So we linked up and we met and just was brainstorming on different things we can do together. And then come to find out we had so much in common, and even though we had a different walk with our alcohol abuse, there still were things that we could relate to. So we knew we had to do something, and we put it all into the nonprofit, Sober Culture.
Awesome. So tell us about your book.
So 10 Years in a Bottle, it will walk the reader through the different things that I struggle with. And I bring an awareness to, it's called binge drinking. So that's something different. There are so many different elements when it comes to alcohol abuse. In my case in particular, it was binge drinking. So I wouldn't drink all week, but then come the weekend, I drank heavily and within a short period of time, and that's what that is. And people don't even realize binge drinking is very dangerous. Like, it's something that can actually, it's deadly, And I know God spared me because it's a situation where you can have alcohol poisoning, you can black out, you don't know what you're doing in that time of blacking out. And here I am today to be able to tell people. So I walked people through the different struggles I had in those 10 years. And everybody may have a different experience, but mine had me for that long. And then also explaining, how do you forgive? How do you cope? How do you actually deal with what led you to drink? Because a lot of people just think alcohol abuse and not understand, what led you to the alcohol. So I put that in that book and just felt the need that you can see it every day, whether it's family, friends, co-workers, students. So I knew it was something to put out there for everyone else.
That is powerful.
Thank you.
Awesome. So give us some statistics as to why your organization is important.
I think our organization is important because I feel like in the Black community, people are afraid to talk about things such as substance abuse and even going on to the mental health side because we just don't like to talk about those things and we just mask them with everything else. And so Christine and I, we're able to talk to the youth and reach them to let them know, hey, it's okay if you're going through this. We have this motto where we say we meet people where they are. And we kind of talk to them and just try to bring them up to let them know you can let go of the drinking, you can let go of, the pills or whatever your vice may be. And so I just think it's important that we even have a conversation about it. Because
about the kids, I mean, how easy is it for them to go down that road?
I think you brought up a great point. When you said statistics, my thing is I look at our actual interaction with the children and things that I tend to, I know it sounds weird, but not looking at report-wise, like looking at a book, but the kids we interact with, like I can remember going to Lowndes County and I had a chance to speak to the kids. This is them openly admitting how much they indulge in alcohol. Mind you, these are kids, high school students. And when I tell you it was over 50% of the kids who admitted to drinking and saying, we do it all the time. Mind you, how are they getting it? So this is the thing, if you're underage, who's providing? And that's a scary, when you think statistics, that's very scary for our children that are in high school to say, we drink.
Yeah.
And it's a norm. It's not something that's too far-fetched. And like you were saying, I know you were like, oh, I don't want to say, but that's very common in the household where the adults are like, take a sip, it's okay, in a lot of households. And it's something that I think that's actually where it starts when it comes to like the adults who may say, it's okay, or I see mom and dad doing it, it's nothing. Or because they may slide you a little something, we don't understand the danger in how it can create an addiction or can create a habit. So it really starts at home. And then you're, like I was saying, as far as access, it's very easy to access it. Even though you may see the signs in the store that says we ID people, I myself can vouch when I was underage, the store clerk would sell it to us as long as no one was in the store. And these are the kind of things that happen. And so it's like really trying to grasp the adults' attention to say, because of you, our children are in danger.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who benefits from your organization? I know you said at grade 6 through college.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about the benefits of the organization and what you see when you're talking to the kids.
So the great thing about it is I think it just makes them feel more comfortable to discuss it because they see two younger people that dealt with something. I know for me, I started drinking at the age of 19. And all through high school, I was very quiet. I didn't drink or anything, but it was like after that, I was like, oh, I'm grown now, I can drink. And then, it's like you turn 21 and it's like, oh, like I can really drink now. Yeah. But the benefits from it is they're able to talk about it and get help because we have resources, through different people in Birmingham where they can reach out to us and we may not have the answer, but the great thing about it is through our connections, we have someone who can help them get on the right path.
That's awesome. I like how you all are having all the puzzles, pieces to the puzzle to be able to help them to get it up. That's awesome. So tell us about being sober.
So this is what I love about this interview in particular. The questions, we're very big on changing the dialogue and the verbiage we use. Like when you say sober, we brought up before, we're liking to be able to highlight there are so many elements to drinking or drug abuse, but we're specifically talking about drinking. We also promote as sober culture moderation. Now that's something that a lot of people
right.
They're like, oh my gosh, moderation. Yes, moderation. Because we have to understand alcohol abuse, moderation, two different things. So let's highlight that and let's talk about it. And let's not be afraid to say, if you have a glass of wine, you are not an alcoholic.
Right. Because someone has asked me that before, like, hey, I have a glass of wine. Does that make me an alcoholic? And I'm like, if you're drinking 3 or 4 bottles in one setting, that's a completely different topic.
Right. So when you say sober, we have to think, if it's something that is getting you where you are literally under the influence, your judgment is impaired, and you no longer can make good decisions, you are impaired and you are not sober. And if this is something that you are turning to cope, that's the issue with your sobriety. So these are the things we have to be able to talk about and say, okay, sober to us does mean if you have impaired judgment, you are under the influence to where, okay, I cannot drive, I can't make good decisions, I am a danger to myself and others. You are not sober. And also understanding mental health and emotional health. If you are doing these things to cope emotionally or mentally, there's an issue with being sober. So that's our definition.
Awesome. Tell us about high functioning alcoholism.
Functioning alcoholism, I can definitely relate to that, going back to my days when I used to just be out there. So I used to work at a bank, and I carried a flask around with me everywhere I went. And in my flask every morning I was filled up with tequila. So on my lunch break, I would go to my car, drink my tequila, go back to work like nothing happened. And to me, that's a functioning alcoholic, because many days I would just drink, but I think my tolerance had gotten so high, I was able to function and didn't know that I had a problem until I looked around at, I saw my mom and how she would cry and just always be worried that something was going to happen to me. But in my mind, I'm okay because I'm functioning. But like deep down on the inside, I was not okay.
Wow. How many people do you think are doing
Oh man, so many. I think there's so many people that do it, but they're afraid that people are going to judge them if they say, "Hey, I have a problem with this." Because I look around at even some people that I know now, and it's like I know they have a problem. But you can't just force yourself on somebody. It's a mindset. That person has to want to change. And at that point in my life, I wanted to change. So that's why, I don't want to say it was easier for me, but with my mom and her prayers, that kind of helped me to say, you know what, I've got to do something. I've got to get a hold of my life. And I wish other people would realize it's okay to have a problem. We all go through things. So reach out to someone and get help.
That's awesome. That is true. Life sometimes blindsides us.
Oh, yeah.
Things we never expected to happen. And what are some steps people recovering from alcoholism can take to feel the pain and go through the process of healing from it instead of trying to numb the pain through using alcohol or drugs or whatever substance it is?
First and foremost, and yes, it sounds so cliche, first you have to admit it. But that is very true, because when you are in denial, you're not going to get the help you need. You don't want to face the fact that you're hurting, something hurt you, or there's unforgiveness there. There's a lot of things that it stems from to understand the why.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to ask is, it's almost like a self-check evaluation. When a person can check certain things off to say, do I do this to cope? And do I do this to escape or to numb the pain? And you can say yes to those things, and you have to be able to say, I do have a problem here. So, I love how you ask, feel the pain. I think that was my issue with binge drinking. I had so much on my plate at a very young age, and why I turned to alcohol. And I wanted to numb the pain. And I had to get to a place where it's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. But we have to channel it in the proper manner. So when you say to feel the pain, I think it is so important. I know today it's just like, I feel like we've gotten so far away from personal connections and relationships because of social media and things like that. Having real, genuine friendships, a real friend to call, whether it's family, a mentor, somebody where it's like, I need a real connection. I need to talk to somebody. And I just love mentorship, how it's like someone you look up to that you can confide in. Open up to them and be able to say, I need to talk, because a lot of times just having that shoulder to lean on can keep you from turning to the bottle, or turning to drugs, So definitely you have to first understand the why. Why are you turning to it? Because you just saying, I'm going to stop drinking, but then there's still a root. There's something there that you didn't pluck as far as the pain. You're going to relapse because you're kind of just, how do they say, like you're treating the symptoms, which is the drinking. So it's like, I'm going to stop drinking. And then you might stop drinking for a month. But then guess what? The pain comes back of whatever it is that bothered you. So you have to heal and forgive. And sometimes it starts with yourself because of mistakes you've made. That's another thing I dealt with. it was a lot of guilt. And because of mistakes I made, feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough. And because of that, you just want to drown it, you know. So I just think it has to do with healing, changing the circle of people that you're with, because they can, Lord knows, they can definitely contribute to those bad habits, you know, because some people co-sign and say, girl, get you a drink, you know, or come drink with me. And it's like, you can't do that anymore, you know,
So how do you handle yourself in those settings? When you're walking this sober walk and you go to these functions, and you can't go hardly anywhere without alcohol.
Right.
So how do you?
For me, I honestly just say no. You know, I think most people know me enough now to say, okay, there's no point in me even offering her this tequila or this beer or whatever it may be, because they know, for one, I'm probably just going to look at them crazy, like, really? Come on, like, why would I indulge in that, something that used to hurt me so bad? I would never want to go back to that pain. And then there are some people who are still like, oh, come on, you know, it's just, you know, some great news. But I'm like, no, that's the pain in there. I don't want that again. So you just kind of have to say no and just walk away from it.
Especially in I would say the beginning stages, you have to treat that very delicately, because it's a vulnerable moment for you.
Yes.
Because it's something you may not have the willpower just yet. So it's all right to kind of isolate. You have to understand, like, isolation is important in those beginning stages.
Yes.
See, I'm in a position now, because it's been a couple years, where I can't go where alcohol is all around me, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. But in the very beginning of those first couple weeks, that would have been a terrible decision. You know, so it's kind of like isolation. As far as I'm saying, like, you have to, it's like a cleanse. You know, I have to really get in tune with what's going on here, as well as the people, going back to who are the people you have around you, because that is so important, and that can really define where you're going. If everyone around you is indulging and they're encouraging the behavior, that's not who you need to be with. You know, it's like, I need people who are going to tell me no. And I'm big on that. Like, I don't want a bunch of yes men around me. I need people to tell me and hold me accountable and say, that's not a good decision, and you need to stop. You know, so that's big.
Yeah, awesome. You mentioned earlier about a list. Like, you need to look at this and say, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? So where does a person go to find their list?
Actually, I love this site. So say like, who is our friend? But I know, like, it's kind of like some common questions where just even saying, you can go online, and there's different sites like drugfree.org. I mean, that's a great go-to site. They have all kinds of stuff on there. It's for family, or if you're the person struggling. But I mean, just in general, it's general questions that you can ask, like, how often do I drink a week? Break it down. How often do I drink per day? Then you have to ask yourself why. That big why. Why am I drinking? Is it socially, or is it to cope? If you are ever drinking to cope, it is a problem. If it's social, that's not bad. If you have self-control, moderation, that's not bad. But if it's to cope with something, it's not good. Then, like Natalie was saying, do you have a stash? That's not okay.
I had a big stash.
And honestly, as someone binge drinking, I had a stash, and it was in my glove box, in my car, like miniatures. We have to say, that is a problem. There's no way you should have miniatures in your glove box and think that that's okay. Or, when you drink, what happens? That's a great question of, when I drink, what occurs? Like, I had very dangerous behavior, whether it was blacking out. I would drink to the point of blacking out. I didn't know what happened in that time. My friends would have to tell me what I did in that moment. So I think, if you know it's not under control and you're a danger to yourself and others, I mean, that's a fine point to say, I have a problem. Yeah.
So what about the people who, every time it's time to get off work, I can't wait to get home to get me a glass of wine? Is that considered someone that's, just a social drinker, or is that considered you may have a problem? If everything is, I can't wait to get me a glass of wine. So,
in my opinion, I think if that person is able to have, if it's a glass of wine, meaning one, I don't think that's a problem. Some people are able every day. Oh man, that's a tough question to answer. I think now if they're drinking the whole bottle every day, that's a completely different problem. Then, like Christine said, it's if that one glass of wine even gets you drunk, then stop and say to yourself, why am I doing this when it makes me feel this way? Because one glass of wine, some people may get them drunk.
Right.
It just depends on the person and their tolerance level. And if they get to that point to where they drink that glass of wine and go get in the car and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't see, like what's going on around me, then yes, that is a problem for them. But I really think it just depends on the person. If they're able to have a glass of wine and go to bed and wake up fine the next day, I don't necessarily think that's an issue.
Well, tell me one of your success stories in dealing with your kids.
So I would have to say, and it's kind of in general because we are very in the beginning stages, but what I could say, something we might get frequently would be like, people are watching. Because right now, we're still like trying to get the word out and everything, so it's like, we don't get the interaction like we want just yet.
Yeah.
So it's more so like, just kids are beginning to be drawn to us.
Yeah.
So that's a success to me in itself, where now people understand like, oh, I'm starting to understand what y'all are trying to do.
Right.
So now they don't mind talking to us. Like I've had, saying it's like the high school range where they're not judgmental, so they'll open up to us and then they'll tell us, hey, I think I do have a problem, and now, like I haven't even graduated yet. So being able to even open the line of communication, I think that's very important, because society today is almost like everybody looks like they have it all together.
Right.
So don't you dare say something's wrong with you.
Right.
And I think that's being really pushed on our kids. Like,
They're
you should
afraid,
have it all
yeah.
together. But we're telling them you're human. None of us have it all together.
Right.
So we really promote it's a judge-free zone. And to open up and talk to us, we're not here to judge you. We want to help you and get you on the right track.
Right.
So I can say success to us right now, the phase that we're in, is kids even feel comfortable to come to us and say, I do need help.
So in your planning, once the kid comes and says, I need help, what are the steps you're going to do in order to walk them through that and get them to a place of support?
Well, I think with the place that we're at now, we kind of just keep in contact with them.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes when people ask for help, if you're too like in their face, they kind of back off, or just like, oh my gosh, this lady wants me to change. Like, it's hard for me. Like, give me some time and some space.
Right.
And so for us, we just want to be able to communicate with them, let them know, hey, here's my number. If you're having a down moment where you feel like you're about to go drink a whole case of beer, call me. Let's talk about it. And that's kind of like what I had to do when I was 19 years old. And trying to go through the stages of changing and going through rehab. It was hard for me at first, like once I got out, because they give you all these steps, but I was like, I don't want to call somebody when I'm feeling down. They're going to judge me and this and that. But I was able to reach out to my AA person, and it was just like I felt so free being able to talk about it, and they were able to help me.
Awesome. I really feel for our kids today. There's just so much coming at them all at one time, especially with access to social media and just the stuff that you get exposed to. I can see so many not knowing how to deal with life.
Right.
Because you're not taught that in school.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to learn it from television or what you see mom and daddy do, or
Right.
what your friends will say is popular to do. So I'm excited about what you all are doing.
Thank
And
you.
whatever I can do to help to get the word out, I am definitely on board. Tell me the difference between social drinking, problem drinking, and alcohol.
Okay, social drinking to me is, if let's say there's an event going on at a museum and there's some cocktails there, you have a drink or two and you go home. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. And then the other one, do you want to answer that?
She said problem drinking. I believe, and that's what I could relate to. That was my thing, problem drinking. That's where it's, the coping, the not wanting to feel, or you're very overwhelmed. So that's why you turn to drinking. So it goes from social to, this is how I cope.
Right.
And if you know that, and that's why I think the question you asked earlier, that's borderline. If they're like, I can't wait to get home, that's kind of the sticky area to be in, because that can go from that glass of wine
To the whole
I feel
bottle.
like I've elevated from, I can't wait to get home and unwind, and it turns into the glass to, I did have a bottle. Now I'm having a bottle. And I think we have to be careful. If we know that we're kind of thinking in that way, like, I just can't wait to get home to that.
Yeah.
You're that's like a gray area of, you can be progressing to more, and it could be problem drinking, because why are you so overwhelmed to, that's what you can't wait to get to.
Right.
So I think that's when you can know that it's problem drinking, because I do it to cope and I do it to numb.
Awesome. So tell us about some of your upcoming events.
Upcoming events. Well, we're actually planning out next year. We're super excited about this year, Thanksgiving. Last year, we set a goal out to be, some families for Thanksgiving. We were able to do 5.
Awesome.
And so this year, our goal was 10, but someone reached out to us and just blessed us tremendously, and we're actually feeding 22 families this year. And we're actually going to get all the turkeys and hams and everything today. And the cool thing about it is we're not just boxing up random meals. We actually had enough money to ask them, hey, tell us what you want. We want to make sure it's something that you and your family can eat. And so that's one of the things that we're super excited about this year. And next year, like I said, we're still planning out, trying to figure out what all we're going to do, but we have some great things coming.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you all have going on and how I can help in any way, join in with your Thanksgiving events or whatever you have, especially talking to the kids. Do you have any plans as far as trying to get into the public school systems or just school systems period? Because it doesn't matter. I think all kids, white, black, socioeconomic statuses, have these issues. So do you have any plans to kind of get there and get in front of them?
Yes, that's something, like Madeline was saying, is in the works.
We're actually speaking at Huffman High School November 29th.
Awesome.
So we're super excited about that. Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's cool, because different schools will reach out for us. We did have a chance with Ramsey, who was able to go there too. But like you said, the schools need us, and it's just a matter of, that can be a weird area because of what we're talking about, but it's much needed. So we're just trying to make sure that we can go about it where it's obviously appropriate, and we're able to get different people on board in the school system, because this is our children's reality.
Yeah.
So it is needed.
I know we're talking about alcohol abuse, but what about the drug abuse? As far as marijuana, everybody thinks it's just, something to do. I see my dad do it. I see my friends do it. It just seems to be so prevalent. And I think the thing that scares me is the fact that young people are driving around with it. They don't understand that it's against the law. And if you got pulled over, there's a high rate of how long you'll stay in jail for that. So what are you seeing out there as far as, I know you used to kind of deal with the alcoholism, but as far as the drugs, marijuana,
I've heard, a few cases from some teenagers that I have talked to, and although they always tell me, well, you can't get addicted to marijuana, but I'm like, are you doing it every day? Are you doing it every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes? And it's like, yes. And then I'll ask them, what does it do for you during that time? And it either makes them lazy, makes them extremely hungry, just want to go to sleep. And that's a problem. That's not something you should want to indulge in if it's going to make you have feelings like that. You should want to, be positive and be active and not want to sulk in smoking marijuana all day. Like, that's just, people say you can't get addicted to it, but I honestly think it's just something, if you're doing it every day, that's a problem.
Yeah, like you said, my skew on it, like when we go back to the statistics, and this is why we do focus on underage, like you said, 6th grade up to college. And even though we talk about everybody, but specifically the youth, I think the danger they don't realize is with marijuana, your brain is still growing and developing. Now this is the part where, because people, now you're of age, I'm not going to argue down an adult of you saying, hey, this isn't bad for me, whatever. Okay, but what do you say to a 13-year-old or a 14, 15-year-old, and they're smoking? They have no business smoking. Because even in these other states where it is legal, that's what they'll say, well, it's legal.
Still doesn't make it right.
But it doesn't make it right for you, and you're underage, and your brain is still growing and developing, and there's significant changes in that when someone smokes, and this is studies show that if they do this at a younger age, there's problem with the growth and development of their brain, and that's what's scary. And who's to say where you got the marijuana from?
Right.
See, they don't get technical when they think about this stuff. Where you got it from? What did they put in it? I have friends who I grew up with where they have smoked Now this is called lace weed. This is where they put other drugs in the marijuana. They didn't even know it. They have never been the same since. So they don't understand the serious consequences of what if you get some bad weed. You know, there are real dangers of, if you didn't grow it yourself, seen it yourself, and you know that this is straight from the earth, like, I mean, those are the kind of arguments that they want to, you know, when we do bring up, these are conversations to be had. Like, do you even know what you're putting in your body?
Right.
And I think, like I said, just changing the conversation. Like, they'll defend it that it's okay, but not to a minor who's growing and developing, and they don't even know what they're putting inside themselves.
I think one of the important things is to help our youth know who they are. I think when you know who you are, it's certain things you just don't do.
Exactly.
You don't go certain places. You know, you don't hang around certain people.
That's
you
right.
don't have a future. You know, it's bright, and it may take me a minute, but I know where I'm going. So, as you all are beginning to mentor the kids, are you kind of telling them from an aspect of who they are to kind of, you know, deal with the inside, so that all the stuff that they're doing outside to try to cope with life will be a little better?
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about was, you know, asking kids, what do you want out of life? What do you want to do, or what do you want to do when you grow up? And what we want to start implementing next year is, like, we're going to form a track, and they're going to write down, you know, what they want to do and their goals and how they can reach that goal. And so I just think it's important to have something that you're striving for. And so that's the great thing about it, is they'll be able to say, hey, I want to be a doctor. Okay, well, write down, you know, what you need to do and the steps to that. And as you go through high school, go through college, you mark those things off and say, you know what, I did it.
That's right. Advice would you give to someone who has finally owned up to the fact that they have an addiction and is now willing to walk through the process of finding peace with themselves and becoming sober?
I definitely would say I'm real big on journaling. Like, that's one thing also, because I have a journal, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I think it's very therapeutic to put it all down, because what it also does, you can always look back and see how far you came. So I think in those very beginning stages, it's so important to write those feelings and thoughts down, and then you can look back on it and say, okay, why was I feeling like this? Or I remember this moment, or when I made the decision. Because sometimes you need that refresher to say, what made me change?
Yeah.
What switched the gear to say I want to do this? Because it can be something where with life, things can revisit us, that pain and everything, and it's like, what made me commit? And I don't want it to go all down the drain because of the feeling I'm having, you know, because like on a sobriety walk, that's an everyday walk. Mm-hmm. That's something where you can't think years down the road. You have to think right now, today, in the moment. Something can trigger you, and it's like, oh, you just threw me off.
Right.
Now, the easiest thing to do would be to go drink again or do drugs or something. And I think we have to just think about, okay, I was saying the why. It's so cheesy, but it's like, I'm so big on that because I think that's what helps us to stay focused. Like, okay, I have a reason. Like, for me, my children, what is my why? I think everybody can identify their why. It's so much bigger than me at this point. Like, my kids need me. And then now with having sober culture, other kids need us. And so it's like, people look up to you. And I think that's the best way. We can have real selfish moments when we want to just have that pity party. But when you think of the world around you, it's like so many people need us.
Yes.
And when they come to the terms of, I want to do this, something in them made them commit. Because that's, 10 years worth for me, I was on a pity party. Somewhere I said, okay, enough's enough. And with that, I had to get counseling. And that's something I feel like we can't be ashamed of it. Counseling, prayer. Now I have to speak for me. Counseling, prayer. Where's your relationship with God?
Yes.
Now, this is my walk, and I'm so proud to say I did not do it alone. That God was all over me in a moment where I gave up. Somebody, and I know it was God, kept me. And you have to understand, I was kept in that moment of just being irresponsible and crazy and everything. It's like, to be kept is the...
This segment of the show is entitled Dear Younger Me. It is our hope that this portion of the show will encourage someone that may feel they can't make it out of where they are. So we're going to ask you this question with the belief that something you say will encourage, inspire, motivate, or help someone else to win. What would you say to the younger you that may have been discouraged, worried, ashamed, afraid, hopeless, or angry?
To my younger self, I would say that the journey that you are going to take, it will not be easy, but you're going to make it through. No matter what obstacles you're going to face in your life, just know that at the end of the road that you get the victory. You will not be the victim, but you'll be the victor. You're beautiful, you're loved, you're smart, you're talented, and I think I'm going to change the world. I know I'm going to change the world, and you're going to be able to affect so many of those around you, and people are going to come to you for help, and you're going to be able to help them because through your test, you have a testimony. So stay strong and keep up the good work.
Christine, tell us about 10 years in a bottle.
So 10 years in a bottle is going to walk you through my transparent walk with alcohol abuse. And I bring an awareness to binge drinking. But I also talk about self-love, I talk about forgiveness, I talk about falling short, as well as being able to move forward, and the how to move forward. And being able to promote a mindset that you are not a victim, but you are victorious.
Awesome. Thank you.
For me in my walk, it was God keeping me. And in that moment of, like I said, acting crazy and being irresponsible and just not even knowing who I was, I believe it was a moment for me where even when I didn't care enough, God did. And that's a part of my story, to be able to say, it's bigger than us. And we have to be able to understand, if we made it through that, it's something about you while you're still here. And people need us. People need to hear your story. Like, me and Natalian aren't the only ones who have a story to share and to tell. So I think if you know you made it through, it's like there's a purpose in you. You have to let that come out. And that's where we have to just change the focus. So anyone who's ready to commit, get the help you need. And don't be ashamed of that. Counseling. And it's a combination of things. Because like I said, faith without works is dead. Now that's a true statement where I can't just say, okay, I'm going to do better. There's no plan. There's no preparation. And there's no actual footwork. The sobriety walk is so real, and it is challenging. So we can't sit here and we're not going to paint this picture like it's easy, because every single day is a challenge. Every day it could be something that can get you off track. So you have to be focused more than ever before, because every day it can be something where it's like, I want to turn back to that because it's easy. And it is all around us. All around us. And we're within a culture that promotes it. They promote an unhealthy lifestyle. They promote turning to drugs and alcohol. And you have to stand here and choose different. That's a hard walk to do.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I have thoroughly enjoyed interviewing you all. I am looking forward to seeing the great things that you're going to do. I'm excited that you're here for our kids. And, hopefully you can help some kids not go down that path. Change a generation, change the way they think, help them to know who they are. And thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. The Josilyn Drake Show never stops. The conversation continues on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us, like us, and be a part of the conversation. Next time, enjoy life. See you next week on The Josilyn Drake Show. Get Josilyn's new single from her upcoming sophomore album, In This Place, on iTunes and all digital outlets. Log on to JosilynDrake.com and get your Dear Younger Me apparel. Visit JosilynDrake.com and pre-order your copy of her new book, Whole, a 21-day soul journey.